have time to come up with an intro. We're looking at The Outsiders this month. The Outsiders is a novel written by S.E. Hinton and published in 1967. The story itself actually takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1965, but is never explicitly mentioned in the book. Funny story, actually. I had never even heard of this book until I found out my brother Happy was reading it for school. Later on, several people recommended this book to me, and now, here we are. Apparently some schools are having their students read this, but I did find out that the book has been challenged and is even banned in some schools. So if you're in the group of have to read, then get your notes ready. If you're in the group of don't have to read, then stick around anyway, because I have some things to say about this book. First of all, the writing style is a little different. You learn new information sprinkled throughout the book out of chronological order. Since it's in first person, it feels more like the narrator providing context for various behaviors and instances in order to help the reader understand why each circumstance is important. It's not a bad writing style done right, actually. The story begins with Ponyboy Curtis, yes, that's his actual name, a member of a gang called the Greasers, walking home from a movie theater and getting jumped by a rival gang known as the Sox. But don't worry, Pony's older brothers and friends come to his rescue. Now, the next night, Pony, his quiet friend Johnny, and their friend Dally head to a drive-in theater where Dally tries to hit on a couple of sock girls, Cherry and Marcia. Cherry doesn't want anything to do with Dally, but we'll talk to Ponyboy as he approaches politer than Dally. What's interesting here is that Pony opens up to Cherry about many things he likes, and he mentions that he's never really done that before as he knows what his friends are like. I'll go over why I like this scene in the analysis. Anyways, the boys and their friend Two-Bit offer to take Cherry and Marcia home, but as they're leaving, a group of Sox, including Cherry and Marcia's boyfriends Bob and Randy, arrive. And they start taunting each other. Cherry doesn't want to start a fight, so she and Marcia go with the group of Sox and head out. Now, I failed to mention that a while back, Johnny got jumped and beat up by Bob. Sadly, no one was there to come to his rescue. Everyone had come too late. Ponyboy had actually told this to Cherry subtly. He didn't know it was Bob who beat up Johnny, but from the description, Cherry knew. Okay, back on track. Because of this little scuffle, Pony got home later than he intended to, and his older brother Derry was very upset with him. A shouting match ensues, and it only gets worse when Derry slaps Pony. Now, he had never hit him before. Ever. This was the first time, and Pony was already feeling that Derry didn't understand him. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, so Pony ran away. He planned to run away with Johnny, who was trying to run away from his abusive home. While they were in a park, they got jumped by the group of Sox again, but this time they are out for blood. Pony provokes them, and one of them grabs Pony and tries to drown him in the fountain. Since Johnny had been jumped in the past, the gang would not let him leave without a switchblade, so Johnny used it and killed Bob. And this made the group leave. Well, this did save Ponyboy's life. Now they have a bigger problem. The boys go find Dally for help while he's at work. Dally gives them some money, a gun, and directions to an abandoned church in Windrixville, where they can hide out until the heat dies down. Now, Ponyboy and Johnny hide out there for about a week, until Dally comes to see them and tell them what's been going on. Apparently, Bob's murder was the straw that broke the camel's back, and now the Sox are being more violent. Cherry feels bad for instigating all of this and acts as a spy for the Greasers. Johnny wants to turn himself in now that he's had time to think about it, and Dally is willing to take the boys home. But the church has caught fire, and there are kids inside. Johnny and Ponyboy leap into action to save those kids, and they do, but while Dally, who went in to save Johnny, and Pony have minor injuries, Johnny got hit with a piece of the church roof on the back. If he survived, he wouldn't be able to walk again. Now, at the hospital, Derry and Soda come to pick up Ponyboy, and Derry feels awful about before. He really was sorry for hitting Pony. Ponyboy realizes right then that Derry does care. Now, Johnny, Ponyboy, and Dally are hailed as heroes in the papers, but Johnny will have to be charged with manslaughter because he killed Bob in self-defense. To add on to that stress, the Greasers and Sox are going to settle things in a rumble. Before that, though, Randy stops by to tell Ponyboy that he didn't want any of this to happen and he will not be participating in the rumble. Later that night, it's rumble time, and Dally escapes the hospital to participate. The Greasers drive the Sox out of their territory. Ponyboy and Dally go visit Johnny to tell him the good news, but he didn't look good. Johnny passed away in the hospital, and Dally immediately leaves while Pony goes home feeling very disoriented and confused. Dally calls the house and says that he robbed a grocery store. The cops are after him and he needs a place to hide. Well, the gang goes out to save him, but Dally stops as the cops enter the scene and provokes them to shoot him with a gun of his own. Ponyboy faints and is in bed sick for many days due to a concussion from the rumble. He was already feeling a little sick before, and participating in the rumble just made it worse. The hearing of Bob's death arrives, and the judge frees Pony from the responsibility of the murder and allows him to remain at home with Derry and Soda, as there was fear he would be taken away. Everything seemed to go back to normal. Derry and Soda were still working, and Ponyboy was still going to school, but his grades were dropping. He wasn't over what had happened. His English teacher says that Ponyboy can raise his grades if he writes a good theme, and it can be on anything he wanted, and as long as he wanted. So while Pony was looking for something new to read, he found the copy of Gone with the Wind that he bought for Johnny. Inside it was a note from Johnny basically saying that he was ready to die and to stay gold. The note also said to tell all of this to Dally, but it was too late to tell him. Ponyboy decides to write his theme on what just happened, and the first line of it is the opening line of the novel. And that's where the book ends. Alright, there's a lot to unpack here, but I'll try to be brief. Ponyboy opens up to a couple of characters that you wouldn't normally expect. First, he opens up to Cherry, a sock girl. Then he opens up to Jerry Wood, who is at the picnic when the abandoned church caught fire. In both situations, it's described that Pony really needed to tell somebody about himself and what's been going on, someone who understands. In reality, he needed someone to listen to him. Now, Derry is very hard on Ponyboy, but that's because he cares about him and wants him to have a good future. Most parents in novels are portrayed in this fashion. Compare that to Bob's parents, who spoiled him and never told him no. That type of parenting can have two effects. One, the kid believes everything belongs to them and nothing else. And two, the kid just wants to be told no. It's important to listen and to care for children so that they grow up to be good people. Now, I'm going to say this now. I have never read Gone with the Wind, nor seen the film as of this video going up. I don't really have a lot to say in regards to that, but when it's out, I recommend you go look at the Masters of Literature on it. Now, this last note I'm going to make is the big one. Everyone has problems. Doesn't matter the circumstances. Everyone's got them. Cherry mentions to Ponyboy how even the socks have their own problems, even though they have a lot of money and all that. Ponyboy realizes that when he learns about Bob's circumstances and why he became the way he was. Then you see later in the book when Derry and Ponyboy argue about how he's doing in school, and they try to bring Soda into the argument. Soda tells them that he doesn't want to choose, as he can see things from both of their perspectives. Alright, I'm gonna be completely honest with you all. I didn't like this book as much as I thought I would. It's a decent story. I see why a lot of you love it to death, and I see why schools would include it in the curriculum, but to me, there was something missing that prevented me from getting into the story. As of this video going up, I'm not sure what it was, and I don't know if I'll ever know. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't read this. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just here to provide some thoughts I had on a book I read and recommend when it's a good time to read it. There was a movie adaptation that was released in 1983. I hadn't seen it, but I have heard that it is accurate to the story and the author helped work on it. I'm sure many of you who have read this have seen the film as well. The age recommendation I give for this book is 15. There is violence and some language in there. It's important to go in with the knowledge that this takes place in a very different time period from our own and in a very different area than where we live, depending on where you live. It's also very important to have a little understanding of the world around you before reading this. I mean, who knows? You might end up finding something valuable. While I wasn't that big a fan of this book, again, I'm not trying to discourage you from reading it. If you want to read it, go ahead. I'm not your mom. It's not my job to tell you what you can and can't read. I'm not even getting paid to make these videos. I'm literally just sharing my thoughts with you and providing an analysis with paper ideas in case you have to write one. Anyways, I have to prepare for Series September. I'll see you guys there. Happy reading!